Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala nabina wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Continuing the explanation of Saleh al Usaymee, or continuing the translation of Saleh al Usaymee's explanation of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahaab's book, the conditions of Salah and its pillars and its obligations. So Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahaab in the text says, وَبَعْدَهَا الْإِسْتِفْتَاحُ وَسُنَّةٌ قَوْلُ سُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ وَبِحَمْدِكَ وَتَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ وَلَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُكَ. And after that it is the istiftah, and it is a sunnah, and it is the saying سُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ وَبِحَمْدِكَ وَتَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ وَلَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُكَ. Then Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahaab goes on to explain what this dua means. And he says, وَمَعْنَى سُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ, and the meaning of سُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ, which translated is glory be to you, O my Lord. Muhammad ibn Wahaab says the meaning, or tafsir if you want to say that, is أي أنزهك تنزيه اللائق بجلالك, meaning that I bear witness that you are free from all defects as is befitting your majesty. وَبِحَمْدِكَ, and with your praises. Muhammad ibn Wahab says, أي ثناء عليك, thana on you. And thana will be explained what that means in the explanation by Saleh al Usaymee. وَتَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ, as we carry on with the dua. Muhammad ibn Wahab says, أي al-barakatu tunalu bi-dhikrika, the blessings that are reached by mentioning you. وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ, and high is your majesty, meaning Muhammad says, أي جلت عظمتك, your grandness or greatness is apparent. وَلَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُكَ, and there is no ilah other than you, meaning أي لا معبود في الأرض, there is none worshipped in the earth, ولا في السماء, nor in the heavens, بحق, with right, سواك يا Allah, except you Allah. So Saleh al Usaymee explaining this says, قول المصنف رحمه الله, the saying of the author, وبعدها الاستفتاء, and after that is the istiftah. أي بعد تكبيرة الإحرام دعاء الاستفتاء, meaning after the تكبيرة الإحرام is the dua of al-istiftah. والمراد به الدعاء المقدم بين يدي الفاتحة في الركعة الأولى, and the meaning of that is the dua that is preceded before Fatiha in the first rak'ah. وهو في نفسه سنة, and it in and of itself is a sunnah. والوارد منه السنن متنوعة, and of course there are different types of this particular sunnah, i.e. ways of saying the dua. Minha, and from them is what Muhammad ibn Wahab mentioned, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. So then Saleh al Usaymee goes on to say, وَتَفْسِيرُ الْحَمْدِ بِالثَّنَاءِ فِي قَوْلِ الْمُصَنِّفِ رَحِمَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى الثَّنَاءُ عَلَيْكَ, and the tafsir of hamd بِالثَّنَاء, by saying thana, in the saying of the author, ثَنَاءً عَلَيْكَ, as in thana on you, when he's explaining that particular aspect of the dua, bihamdika. كذا قوله الآتي, and also what he'll mention later on when he explains the Fatiha, alhamd thana fihi nazar, then in it is inspection, and we need to inspect it. That's what Saleh al-Usaymee is saying. فالحمد هو الإخبار عن محاسن المحمود, so hamd, it is the mentioning of the praiseworthy qualities, مع حبه وتعظيمه, along with love and grandeur. وإذا قرر الإخبار بالمحاسن سمي ثناءً, so when you repeat the information of mentioning the good qualities, then it is called thana. For khabar بالمحاسن المحمود بعد الخبر يسمى ثناء. So the mentioning of the praiseworthy qualities after the mentioning, that is called ثناء. ويبين هذا حديث أبي هريرة, and this explained the hadith of Abu Hurairah in the Muslim with Imam Muslim, وهو hadith ilahi, and is a hadith Qudsi, أن الله عز وجل, that Allah the Mighty Majestic says, قسمت الصلاة بيني وبين عبدي نصفين, I divided the salah between me and my slave in two parts. فإذا قال العبد, so when my slave says الحمد لله رب العالمين, قال الله, then Allah says حمدني عبدي, my slave has praised me. With Qala ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and when he says ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Qala Allahu, Allah says Athna alayya abdi, Athna alayya abdi, on me, Athna, from my slave. فإنه يقطع مع هذا الحديث, so it becomes clear with this hadith أن تفسير الحمد, that to say that the tafsir of hamd is thana, غلط, is a mistake. وإن كان ذلك مشهورا, even if that is something that is commonly known. فإن الثناء الكبر بعد الكبر المحاسن المحمود, because thana is the mentioning after the mentioning of the praiseworthy qualities. أما الكبر الأول, as for the first mentioning, فيسمى حمدا, this is called hamd. فإن الله قال في مقابل قول العبد, because Allah says in responding to the saying of the slave, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. When I say saying of slave, obviously I mean it's a saying of Allah, that Allah's commanded the slave to say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allah says Hamadani Abdi, my slave has praised me. وقال في مقابل تكرارا وقال في مقابل تكرارا ذكر محاسنه العبد, and he said in response to the repeatedness of the mentioning the slave of Allah's good qualities, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Athna alayya abdi. So then Saleh al Usaymee goes on to say, الذي يقول الحمد هو الثناء بالجميل على المحمود. So the one that says Alhamd is thana with good words on the one that's being praised. And then some of them also say thana bi sifat ikhtiyariya. Thana is that you say thana regarding the attributes of choice. وفي البقية كلها نظر, and there are other opinions as well. All of that require a critical eye over it. ليس هذا محل بحثه, and this is not the time to go over that. لكن قوله في تفسير الحمد هو الثناء صحيح وغير صحيح. However, his saying regarding the tafsir al-hamd thana, is it sahih or not sahih? غير صحيح, is not sahih. لأنه مخالف لحديث أبو هريرة, because it's not mentioned in the hadith of Abu Hurairah. والحديث أبو هريرة في عدم مقابلة الحمد ثنا, because in the hadith of Abu Hurairah there is not the response of hamd with thana. ولو كان الحمد ثناء لقال الله, and if hamd had been thana, Allah would have said أثنى علي عبدي. لكن لما ابتدأ العبد بذكر محاسن رب, but when the slave began with mentioning the good qualities of the Lord, قال الله عز وجل, Allah said in response to it, في مقابله الحمد عبدي, praised me my slave. فلما كرر ذلك ذكر المحاسن, so when the good qualities were repeatedly mentioned, قال أثنى علي عبدي. فالثناء هو تكرار المحاسن, so thana is the repeatingness of the repeating the mentioning of the good qualities. والأمر الحمد فهو الخبر عن تلك المحاسن. As for hamd, then it is the mentioning regarding these good qualities. وابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى فصل, and Ibn Qayyim has a chapter, a beneficial chapter, between the difference between hamd, thana and tamjid, and very other nadhirahu fi kalam ghayri, and very rarely find this kind of speech in other than him. ذكر في بدائع الفوائد, and he mentioned that in his book بدائع الفوائد. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.